Usually, when you're the absolute best, you get hated on the most. But never stop fighting. No matter what anyone says, no matter how they try to compromise you, compromise your vision. If it's in your gut, if it's in your soul, there's no worldly possessions that should come between you and your expression. As a race, human beings, we're a blip in existence. Death is promised. So what do you do with your life? How do you make the most of it? How do you make your voice the loudest? I empathize with anyone in this era who's ever loved fashion, because usually it's not like loving the idea of being a lawyer or becoming a doctor. You know, it's like when kids tell their parents that they want to be a fashion designer, it's usually not met with the same response as the traditional held career choices. Even for me as a successful musician, in order to make the transition, it was really all but impossible. People always try to box you in to what they know you best for. Artists, or the most successful artists, are as close to who they were when they were 5 years old, or 4 years old, or 3 years old, or when my daughter wakes up and decides to change her career 7 times a day. And all I could say to her is, you use your youth, use this time you have right now to learn as much as possible, to educate yourself, to hone your craft. I was good friends with Louise Wilson from St. Martin's, who taught Phoebe Philo, Alexander Wang, Christopher Kane, Stella McCartney, J.W. Anderson, all of these rock stars that if you follow Paris fashion and all that, we look up to these people. And she was a really hard instructor. It was like the movie Whiplash almost. Like she got sued like 3 times. Because she was so tough on what was actually right, what was valid. And I feel that, she passed last year. But even before her passing, I, as a son of 2 educators, I felt it was more of my responsibility to enforce whenever I had the opportunity and speak up on what was actually right in my eyes. And by default, I've got a lot of haters since then. But it was simply that artist's 3-year-old truth that I wanted to get across. The reason why I would go to fashion shows so much, over the past 10 years is I wanted to see the designers deliver their work in their truest form, exactly how they felt, around all of the issues that go into making a collection, which I know firsthand and fully appreciate. So many celebrities, the average celebrity designer, their fingers don't get bloody. They don't pick up needles. They don't know how to sew. They don't know how to pattern cut. And I can pin a little bit, but I don't know how to pattern cut. And I respect people who have a craft, who have taken their time to really learn and hone their craft and deliver something of quality, of passion to the world. The fight that Louise Wilson pushed and instilled into her students. The fight that, when you talk about students putting 80 hours in and trying to sleep at the school and being dedicated to the project. I build things that mean things to people. I make the Christmas presents. To this date, they do not understand who I am. They will not understand till after I'm gone, because in 100 years from now, everyone in this room will be dead. And what did you do while you were here? What difference does anything make that I'm saying here? Other than if there's people who can help with what I'm saying and people who believe in me, come help now, call now. But I think the idea of dumbing down, each one of the things that you guys are gonna say, I look at, there's a positive and there's a negative that you think of as an artist, but there's a positive too, because it's the ability to accomplish more and the ability to step back from that immediate battle to win an overall war and to understand how long the war really is and understanding exactly how much to push on your concept and how much information to put in there, how much to concede, when to fight. You know, I remember on Gold Digger, I had this line that said, when he get on, either you ask for a white girl. And there was a radio guy who wouldn't play it because he was in an interracial relationship. He had a white wife, he was a black disc jock. So it directly connected to something that he dealt with issues with his entire, marriage and relationship. So he didn't want to play that. I remember there's video footage of me getting really upset and fighting for that to be played. And you get like one of those Kanye West outbursts. But I was fighting at that time for the idea of the art not being compromised. Like, I didn't curse, so what's so wrong with this concept? It seemed like whether I was using imagery of the Klan on MTV, and I would say, okay, wait a second, so we can play this many G strings, right? But if you play an image of the Klan, and what it came down to is, oh, this is bad for business, this is bad for advertising, or it's making people think too much, or it's bringing a truth to people's attention that we don't feel like right now. And I think there's something about, there's different kind of drugs. If anyone's been on vacation and taken drugs before, but there's drugs that make you tell the truth, there's drugs that make you happy, there's drugs that make you sad, there's different types of moods it can put you in. And music is like a drug. People go on vacation and say, did you bring I won't say the D word, but did you bring the drugs? And they say also, did you bring the music? These things go together. Did you bring the alcohol? It was so the interesting balance of making enjoyable music that also had truthful information in it. It was like always a very, very fine line of when to break the high in a way, because there's a lot of dance music, like Four on the Floor. It seems like it's trying to just be strictly the high and never break it, never give any type of extra information, just strictly be the smoothest drug possible. And with backpack rap, it was always like this responsibility that we felt to our parents, our ancestors, and to our generation at that time, to use our platform of the drum to educate with it. And we took it as a responsibility more than the responsibility of like personal wealth. And I think that was the beginning, first notes of any Steve Jobs comparison, before I even knew to have the audacity to compare myself to Steve Jobs. There was that idea of the bins in the backpack, the mix of the information, the responsibility to my parents who are educators, and the understanding that it had to be a bit dumbed down. It had to be accessible in a way. I think every time we would go to the studio, we would recap our entire history up to that point, current events and the past 500 years or past 2100 years. I say that because I'm on the Christian clock, because I'm a Christian. And when I work really slow. I let the steak marinate. So the idea is of jumping to current event to event to event. They usually come out in the music over a 4 to 6 month period from after they come, because everyone wants to speak so quick and so emotionally and react right away. And it's just the way I create my music, the way I create my content. It just takes me a little bit longer, a lot more conversations, and I don't like to complain without trying to find or offer a solution, which takes even longer. So that's the process, and that's how events like that affect the things I eventually say? Yeah. All right, next question.